The Lounge, proudly brought to you by Johnny Walker. Keep walking.
Good evening, welcome to The Lounge. My name is Kwaku Sakyi-Addo. The Lounge is brought to you by Johnny Walker. Keep walking, and it's broadcast from the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel in Accra. Tonight, due to a technical problem, we are broadcasting from the gardens rather than the usual Equator Bar. Now, thousands of organizations in more than 120 countries are just about dusting themselves off from a massive hack attack, which is the phenomenon where your computer malfunctions as a result of a deliberate or accidental spread of a bug called malware in the industry. In the recent incident, it was deliberate, and the perpetrators demanded a ransom in return for freeing the victim's computer. In an increasingly computerized world, with more and more industries being encouraged to run on paperless processes, with the onset of the Internet of Things, where our everyday appliances and installations at home and at work are interconnected, and with even our money becoming slowly but progressively virtual, how alarmed should we be? If we modernize our election processes, for example, could some foreign power interfere with our elections as the US alleges Russia did in theirs? Should hack attacks give us heart attacks? What do you think? Have you been a victim of a cyber attack or crime? I have three experts who share their insights. Herman Chinrihese is a software entrepreneur and chief executive of SoftTribe, which is reputed to be Ghana's leading software developer. Mrs. Audrey Mreku is an IT professional, and Dr. Peter Tobin is a cyber security expert and an ethical hacker. We'll find out in a moment what ethical hackers do. Welcome to The Lounge. Dr. Tobin, yes. You are an ethical hacker. You hack into people's computers. What's an ethical hacker? Is that like a good thief?
Well, somewhere around the 2000, the concept of the year 2000, concept of ethical hacker came up. It's supposed to be a set of people who are certified to mimic the activities of a hacker. So if you are an organization that needs to check your security to see if it's possible for hackers to attack you, then you employ the service of an ethical hacker who does almost all the activities of a hacker except pulling the trigger to actually cause harm. By that, they're able to give you a report to show that whether you are secure, how secure are you, what are the measures that you need to take to make yourself secure. A lot of...
so you're a good guy.
Yes, we are a good cop.
Right.
So normally, for you to be able to certify that you are secured, you do this type of exercise. We call it penetration testing, where people sit outside your network and try to attack your network from outside
to test how secure
you are. When they introduced Tesco.com, for example, I tested it to show that Tesco.com will be safe. And so
Tesco being what?
Tesco is a supermarket in the UK. Yes.
So, and were you able to get in and shop?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not allowed to say because of some non-disclosure agreements that we have. But that is the exercise that you do. You try to, work the same way that a hacker would do, the processes that they would take to see if you can do that.
So you second guess them so you can, install or provide
provide fix for wherever there are holes
to prevent them getting
in. Yes,
you do something at GIMPA as well, the Ghana Institute of Management Public Administration.
Yes,
what is it that
there's
you
a
do
Center for IT Professional Development. We do IT training, so we provide IT training on IT audit, security, CCNA, the traditional IT courses. It's a center within GIMPA. We do ethical hacking training as well there, and we've been doing it for a while now, almost 10 years now. So that's what I do there.
So Herman and Audrey, do you guys know anyone whose computer or organization was affected by the recent global hack attack? Do you know anybody?
I don't. Not in Ghana.
In Ghana, no.
Okay,
Ghana,
nowhere around the world?
Somewhere around in South Africa, yes.
In South Africa?
Yeah, 2 companies have been reported.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't have the details.
Yeah. So what do you know what happened? How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
Well, obviously, somebody wrote a program, found a bug, a backdoor into an operating system, and it's his area of expertise, not mine. But I will try my best. We are all techies, so I'll try. Found a loophole in the operating system. Operating system is something like Windows or something, and put some code in there that does damage. That's like taking the context of a warehouse full of flour. It's like finding a hole in the wall and putting a rat inside. and the rat has plenty of children. The children run into the other warehouses, the adjoining warehouses. That's the kind of scenario in simple Ghana language. That's what happened. But the person who did it caused the data to scramble. There's a way to descramble it. So the person who scrambled it knows how to descramble it. And the racket, the 419 they were doing was that they scramble your data. So you're like, oh, my systems are not working. You get a nice phone call saying that, but if you want it to work again, say, I destroyed it. I know exactly how to undo it. So if somebody has hidden your shoes, he knows where he hid the shoes. You can bring it back. So it's really crime.
Right. And of course then, and he demands a ransom.
That is it.
In this instance.
So pay me and I'll fix it.
Right.
It's a racket.
Right. Of course they are not asking for cash. They're asking for Bitcoins. Can you explain just...
This one I'm not an expert at it.
Okay.
I've never understood
Audrey,
Bitcoin.
can you...
It doesn't make sense to me.
Bitcoins, it's more of e-currency, electronic currency.
Right.
It works best in the under dark world, where there's a lot of dark trading, buying of illegal applications, software, or other. Well, for now, I hear that some shops, legitimate shops, actually accept Bitcoins instead of hard currency. So it's basically a legitimate currency, but then it's used more. It was introduced to us by the dark world, so to say.
So they demanded money, payment.
At first they demanded $300 US, and the threat was if you can't pay the $300 within 7 days, they increased they doubled the $300 to 600. Yeah. Then after that they'll tell you that if you don't pay after a certain period, they will not even be able to help you.
Do you know if people paid?
Yeah, some people paid.
Yeah.
Some organizations paid. Yeah.
So, why do you think that Ghana wasn't affected, hasn't been affected so far? Is it just
we're not computerized enough? That's the only thing.
We're not interesting enough. Yeah. We're not bait.
No, also we don't have enough systems. I don't know, we don't have enough systems out there. Yeah, so if somebody, I don't know, I don't think so.
Yeah, you see, the ransomware itself is not a new technology. It's been there. Just the way we repackage what we do as, well, I say we, but hackers do package what they do and give it new names to be specific. But in Ghana, a lot of our organizations are not online.
That is it.
That's the basic thing. When we have an online site, we are not online as an organization. We are hosting it in a system in America or somewhere. So a lot of organizations are actually offline the internet, and the only way you can really attack is through the net. So if you are not online, then it becomes very difficult to attack you. That could be one of the reasons. Apart from that, Well, this comes from the ransomware comes through something we call phishing. And phishing is
Phishing spelled with a PH.
Yes. So phishing, it's a way of trying to give a bait and get the person to
Even though it's
respond
spelled
to it.
PHI, it's still phishing.
It's still phishing, yes. So you give a bait, and the bait is an attachment that you click onto, and then either you go to a wrong site or you download some code onto your system, and that code is what then encrypts the files. So anyone who's got access to email, it's a potential, has a ability to get, the hacker has the ability to attack the system. Because if it's coming by the code, as you click, it installs on your machine, it encrypts your data, as it said, it scrambles it and make sure you don't understand what is going on, and then ask you for the ransom. Now, if you don't have access to the internet, when you download it, the information doesn't go back to them. If your access to the internet is only outbound browsing bit, there's no inbound traffic apart from mail, it stops some of the activities that they can do on your system. So it's mostly organizations that have that are interfacing with the internet directly. They will have both traffic in and out, and they are more likely to have this attack happening to them. That's why probably we didn't see much of an attack in Ghana.
Audrey seemed to disagree somewhat.
It could be that we don't even have the platform to report the incidents.
Explain.
In America, for instance, if any organization is hit by any malware, they are supposed to disclose that, because it's their responsibility. They are holding customer data, they are holding customer credentials, bank details and everything. So it is mandated that they report the crimes. Unlike in Africa, where we don't even have laws governing us, protecting us as consumers, when we're giving out so much information to organizations. So
that could be one of the
reasons.
I generally believe we are not computerized enough. We should be more computerized. There's not enough systems in Ghana.
But there's an aspect of what Audrey is saying that is right, in the sense that companies are not readily happy to report.
I know.
So unless there's a legal reason why you should report, you will not.
But I disagree to some degree. I argue that if what Audrey was saying if what he's saying isn't tempered with what I'm saying, we would have ended up going to Accra Mall and the systems would be down. We did not experience that. Or our MTN wouldn't be topping up. Our top up won't be working. None of us experienced anything like that.
It's in two ways. It could be that we're not the main targets, if there was anyone targeted, that is. But then again, it could be that we're not. You can only get infected if you are playing. If you can only get fleas if you're playing with the dogs.
There are not enough of us playing with the dogs.
No, but that's one aspect that, interestingly, as Ghanaians, we don't seem to have confidence in ourselves that our systems were very secured. That's why we were not attacked.
No, we cannot say that, because when everyone was hit, we actually looked at ourselves and we saw the vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
That's what we were scrambling all about. We're all about the internet getting patches as well. So
that's my next question, really. How secure are our systems? What, from your experience, as an outsider, insider?
You can never be secure enough. Like he was saying, today it was this, because the way this ransomware came about, it came in twofold. It came but the first one that was reported had a kill switch in it, whereby they wanted, a kill switch was more like a switch, whereby they want to control it. If it's moving too fast, it's getting to places where they don't want it to go to, then they can actually switch it off. Then somebody in the dark world as well would believe that they saw that no, this thing must go wild. So they actually removed that kill switch. So the one that actually rocked the world afterwards, after Sunday, didn't have the kill switch. So I'd want to believe there's someone behind it, they were out to get something out of it. At first we all thought that it's like any other criminal activities, But then again, when you learn about the source of the code, it was owned by the NSA in the US, which is
the
the US
National Security
Agency in the US. Then we go back to think like, why do they even have such codes? They're spying on us or anyone out there.
Like Ebola.
So this originated from the NSA.
It's actually a tool that they use, like how Dr. here has his tools that he would come to an organization and test your systems. So they have their own tools. Immediately Microsoft comes out to say, I have a vulnerability, but here's a patch. Then there are agencies out there who are mandated to find the vulnerabilities and see the exploits and exploit those systems. So this tool was developed by the NSA and was leaked by the shadow brokers. When it got online, it was sold, but it wasn't interesting enough for the buyers. So they actually released it out for free. So depending on who downloaded it on there and their location, that is how I think probably in Ghana there was no one who downloaded it. We were not interested. We didn't even know what it was. It was not.
So just clarify this for me. What again? So the NSA developed this for what? So is this like a vaccine, for example? You know the way vaccines work. You develop the
No. That wasn't. The code. It's a tool that they were using. The vulnerability existed in a Microsoft operating system. So which means there was a hole in the operating system. And as they ran the tool, they realized that, well, actually, this tool can be used to exploit this hole in a Microsoft operating system. So the operating systems, as you have it on your phone and everywhere, they've got bugs in there that were not intentional. But as we run tools against it, we discover new bugs that comes out. So the tool that was developed by NSA was meant for part of encryption, but it uses something in the operating system. It's a BIOS thing in the operating system, not BIOS. And that thing then worked. So they realized, oh no, there's a vulnerability in Microsoft now that can be exploited with this tool. So Microsoft came out and said, yes, in March.
They owned up.
And said, yes, we know our system is vulnerable to this, so we introduced a patch. Can you all apply this patch so that you're not attacked?
The patch being like the solution.
Yes, the fix, the hot fix. So that was released so that anyone can fix the hole in a Microsoft. It came out 2 months ago. Unfortunately, as it always is, you don't get everybody to fix the patch.
So those who fix the patch,
they'll be okay.
Right.
Those who did not pick up the patch to fix the hole in the operating system, the tool then was able to exploit. You see, let's understand that security is a dynamic thing. So tools and ways of attack evolves over time. And so these people were looking for things, and then they came up with this tool and they realized there's a hole. And they told Microsoft, as they are supposed to do, and Microsoft brought the fix. So it is companies that have dynamic ways of fixing their Windows, certain Windows operating systems. They were attacked. It wasn't everybody.
You're watching The Lounge. My guests are Audrey Miraku, Dr. Peter Tobin, and Herman Chinwe Hesse. We'll take a quick break. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching The Lounge. We're discussing cybersecurity, cybercrime, hack attacks. Should they give us heart attacks? Let's take a moment and toast to authentic whiskey. Let's toast to Johnny Walker, the original taste of whiskey. Since 1820, Johnny Walker has remained the world's #1 Scotch whiskey and has won numerous awards for excellence. This because the impeccable formula of distillation has been jealously guarded over the ages, thus its distinctive taste. Johnny Walker comes from an intricate blend of a wide spectrum of carefully selected flavors, giving it that unique taste savored by millions all over the world. So let's toast to the unquestionable taste of whiskey. Johnny Walker, the whiskey the world knows best. Johnny Walker, keep walking. Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons under 18 years and pregnant women. We're discussing hack attacks. Should they give us heart attacks? With an increasingly computerized world, mobile money, and all these, processes, factories and so on, all progressively getting electronic, chip embedded, Internet of Things creeping up, self-driving cars and so on and so forth. Should we be frightened? So who are these people who do this? Who are these nuts?
Like Doctor said, it's more of not nuts. It's not a group of nuts. Every system needs to be tested. It's just that the code that they used and found the vulnerability was leaked. So that's where the problem is.
The nuts are criminals.
Well, it's not criminals per se. He is not a criminal.
No,
He's just testing systems.
But aren't there people who deliberately do this? I mean, if you're asking for a ransom, that's crime.
Yes.
So who are these people?
It is.
They are ordinary people. I mean,
They were ruffians.
they are just ordinary people that you find everywhere. There are groups. There are groups. I remember when I was in London, there's a group that meets in Leicester Square. It's an educational group that's supposed to do a research on the various operating systems and find loopholes in there and find ways of exploiting the loopholes. It's fun. It's nice to do. It's not always for money. It's sometimes just educational. And a lot of people initially were doing hacking for fun and for its educational purposes. Until
how can you interfere, interrupt, cause people's computing systems, cause their computers to malfunction, and say that's fun?
Yeah, a lot of the most sophisticated systems we have actually came as a result of fun, as a result of people learning and trying to break codes. The code that was used in WannaCry, this particular ransomware, is an AES. It's an advanced encryption scheme. And this is well advanced, really high. And the reason why we've reached that level of 256 bits code is because the small ones were broken by someone. So as those who think it's fun play with this, they encourage us to move ahead and move forward with the security. So in a way, you can't say it's totally wrong until it becomes a criminal thing, until they destroy something for fun.
What does this mean for us as we encourage more and more people to computerize their systems, to go paperless, to become cash light?
We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to educate even our children. Our children are on WhatsApp. There's a lot that goes on there. We have a responsibility as service providers to protect our consumers and to train them. Because all service providers are doing right now, they are bringing everyone onto the internet and not educating them. It's all about come online, use my services, and I get your money, and that's it. So as service providers, we need to educate our people. We need to have that responsibility, which goes back to government. Government needs to develop those policies to protect the consumers.
Yeah, I think as a country, we need to get the legislation right. At the moment, we have two main laws, the Electronic Transaction Act and the Data Protection Act. But as in every other law we have in Ghana, is the enforcement. That's the problem. I mean, the average Ghanaian doesn't really know what is in that act. And even those who are supposed to enforce it, I doubt it, that they actually fully appreciate what they can do with the act. So it's about getting the right legislation in place so that we can prosecute and it can be a threat to people that what you're doing, the right laws will apply if you are caught. That's one. And then secondly, as you rightly said, the education bit. We need to have an awareness, proper security consciousness that We're moving from a physical realm to a virtual realm. And that move comes along with different thinking, you know, and being a bit more careful on what we do when we're on the net. You know, I find it very interesting when people use Snapchats every day. I could see Snapchats of a person's life and I can actually tell you what they do their whole life. And to me, it's risky. You're making data available not on need-to-know basis. You're giving people too much information
About yourself.
about yourself, and that is dangerous. In India, somebody went to a job as the PM, the Prime Minister, used the identity of the Prime Minister to apply for a job with his picture. And he's got the
With
whole...
the Prime Minister's
the
picture.
Prime Minister, no, his own picture, but the details of the Prime Minister. And he's got everything right. And if you interview him about the children of the Prime Minister and who they are, he can tell you everything about him. And because these days, everything about a
Because
person...
the Prime Minister's family
Yes.
were so present online.
Online. And you can actually map a person's whole family by going to Facebook. You can map your whole home, your siblings and everything by just visiting a site. To me, that is dangerous. We have to be cautious that the internet is not the same. The physical eyes are no longer there. In a virtual world, we cannot see the way we see things physically. And so we have to be very cautious when dealing in a virtual world.
So that's at the sort of at the personal level.
Yeah.
And also in terms of what service providers can do. What about, and then you're saying that we need what, legislation?
Yes, on the
But
government side as well.
Yes,
yeah.
and then on the government side, what, better legislation? Do you think the laws are tight enough?
Well, no, I think that we can do better with our laws. Well, it's also about enforcing the laws. That's even,
Right.
you know, we can have more laws, but if they are not enforced,
Right.
then they become totally useless. But on corporate side, so we need to get the right antiviruses in place. If you're online, we take a lot of things for granted. If you move the whole Ghana revenue system, GRA system, from its manual state into electronic state, then you have to be prepared to pay for its security. Because the files, when they were looked at physically, there were eyes that can protect them. But when you move them into a virtual world, those
Or you
natural
can lock them in a
controls,
safe or some secure
yes,
physical space.
that disappears. So we need to find ways to protect them in their virtual environment. And those are the things that we need to tighten them up. Stop having cheap softwares, not buying software, taking free softwares that you can't have patches for. You know, it will surprise you. You go to big or corporate organization and they are not using a paid, properly licensed software.
They go online and
They just download
Download it.
softwares.
And somebody has paid for it. So somebody who pays for it, that's when they actually attach a worm to it. So when you download it, the worm works in the background. You're not even aware what's happening in the background. So you could be having your own computer here thinking everything is personal. You're actually hosting a porn site on your computer.
And there's a couple of other ways in which we need to be more serious. Like we have had a situation,
at Soft Tribe.
yeah, where a client took two of our renegade workers aside and essentially stole our software and said, work on it for me. Everybody's going to go to jail. But they're not aware that there's laws against this. So they are going ahead. Do you understand? This is a big,
It's
reputable
software theft.
organization. It is clear theft. And the people who are working on it, their contracts don't permit them to do that. But they are not, they don't know, Ghana, they don't know the law.
But do we have a law in the country that states that the code is intellectual property?
Absolutely.
So I've got a couple of messages. I've got one from Kofi. Let me see what it says. Okay, so it says, Windows-based systems are the most targeted by hackers. Why is that, by the way?
Most common.
It's mostly
It's the most
used by everyone.
ubiquitous.
Accessible. It's very accessible.
I don't know if we are right.
Well,
Nowadays
look-
the Android.
No,
Yes, on the phone.
actually, it is the most hacked operating system, and it's because it's the most open, and because it's open, for us to be able to create our own softwares on it, it becomes vulnerable.
So would you advise a developing country like Ghana to adopt others such as Linux because they are free with the additional benefit of being rarely attacked by hackers?
Well, it's a catch-22 question, because you're also looking at the costs involved. You're looking at the skill sets, bringing in a Linux administrator and people to actually come and interface that Linux platform with an end-user platform. You need the right skill sets. I'm not too sure if we're ready to invest as a country in that. So definitely that would be the way to go definitely go for a secure system. But then again, do we have the skill sets? We need to invest on the skill sets.
So what would you say to somebody who says, well, you know, now we're trying to encourage, you know, the use of, we're trying to discourage the use of cash, for example. A few years ago, we talked about improving our election systems, possibly, you know, going electronic. Should we slow down?
No, we shouldn't.
We can't.
We shouldn't. The world is moving fast. Otherwise, we'll be left behind. In as much as it's moving fast, the risks are also increasing. So it's not by choice that we have to stop and not catch on. We have to move. The world is moving.
Basically, we're going.
Okay, but the world. Sorry, go on.
We're going to a new age.
Right.
We don't have a choice. We have to go in the new age. The whole world is going. It comes with its attendant risks, and we just have to learn to deal with them because there's no stopping.
And the reason why it's important to go along with the world, the rest of the world, is because otherwise we get disconnected from the world
immediately.
Right. And
there are benefits.
Okay, good.
Don't forget, we are all using our WhatsApp and so on to communicate, to coordinate.
Okay,
to be here on
so
time.
perhaps you want to elaborate on the benefits of going electronic.
Yes. One, to hold back corruption. 2, great communication. 3, instant communication. It's not just that we can move large volumes of data and quickly. Great tools for research. Great number crunching capability. Our systems can run the whole government payroll in under an hour. I mean, before it was 3 weeks, even with another computer system. And then it was also maybe a month and a half with manual, with plenty of mistakes. So the benefits you cannot argue about. Now, it's just an arena that comes with its own dangers, and we just have to learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I'm not into this, we are going or we're not going. We're definitely going. We just have to go with our eyes open. And we have experts like my brother here.
Dr. Tobin. So you're saying this in spite of the fact that the recent attacks that affected over 120 countries, including places like Germany, where the rail network was disrupted, industries and factories were affected, and we weren't touched because most of our processes are manual. You're saying, nevertheless, let's
go there.
Let's push forward.
In the year 2000, there was a virus called I Love You. It was worse than this, actually. It cost the world a lot of billions of dollars. If the world had stopped computerizing at that time,
There'll be no WhatsApp.
we wouldn't have all the things we have now. You know, so it's, as they rightly said, it's not a matter of stopping. I think we need to be cautious. We need to be security aware and get people,
the tiger.
You know, get people to understand that this is something we have to live with. So we need to learn how to live with it than to say, let's go back.
And pay the price for the protection that is required.
Yes.
Let me just shift very quickly to the regular 419, for which many people are victims. You know, you receive these emails from, and you know, I've received some, you know, we receive emails from some individual that claims their father was a general in some government, and they've died and they left them a ton of money, and for some reason you are the lucky one whose name appeared in his will and wants some token so that the billions can be unlocked. How can anyone believe such manure?
Well, that's not a computer problem. That's an IQ problem.
And exposure. And exposure.
That's an IQ
and greed,
problem.
of course. And greed.
Yeah,
People are
greed.
actually looking of ways of
Sure,
making
But this is
shortcuts.
cyber, you know, okay, because we're discussing cybercrime.
Cybercrime.
This is cybercrime.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
it
But
is.
the same thing
The-
will happen with the guy standing in front of you. That's the communication of this nonsense came by computer is incidental. You could have written it in a letter. It is not uniquely a cyber. Cyber facilitates the dissemination of 1
But at
million
least if
messages.
if the person is standing across from you and he says that I'm the son of General whatever,
You probably slap him.
absolutely.
No,
Yeah, it
now
depends,
that
no.
you are aware, now that you are educated.
Yeah, but
But 10 years ago,
Yeah.
you could have fallen for it.
if you
Well,
if you
in
can
the,
fall
in
for
the
the-
spectrum of cybercrime, this is the least part.
it's
I
petty.
mean,
But
it's
still
petty,
but it
but-
has its
Scam.
victims.
Exactly.
And
the
it's still
scam
happening.
bit is the least cybercrime. But as you rightly said, any crime committed with computer either as a tool or as a victim is a cybercrime. So if you use the computer as a tool to commit the crime, it's a cybercrime. And in that case, they are using the computer as a tool.
Yes.
But it's not there.
No.
And we know most of it, we concentrate too much on the scam bit. The Sakawa, as we call it in Ghana, business is quite huge. And the scam bit is the least important part.
Tell me what's important.
The real market is in the sale of credit card details.
That's it.
The real market is in the transfer of funds from one bank to another. It's happening and it continues to happen. And there were big banks, there are big banks like Citibank and the rest that were monies were taken from them. So and there are people in Ghana and Nigeria who have specialized in this, and they can actually transfer funds from one bank to another bank, and they can actually buy a whole list of credit card details. They are merchants. There's a whole value chain out there. There are merchants and there are those who sit on the computer and use the what do you call it, the credit card numbers. It's a whole chain. So in the least part is the use of these letters to lure people and ask them for money and all that. And I think most people have become wiser. So it's not really fetching much. And that's it. But the majority is on the online card fraud, money transfer issues, where you can get money from one of these money transfer companies without really anybody transferring to you.
But you know what
Yeah.
scares me the most about the current ransomware that's going on? The companies that were hit. If somebody was able to get to your systems and encrypt the data, how sure are we that they didn't even get copies of your data? If it's companies like national hospitals, people are paying with
Like
credit
the,
cards.
like the national
Definitely
health,
they have
health system.
they have your
in the
personal
United
details.
Kingdom.
Yeah, they have your personal details. So after all this, I suspect that it will happen in the background. Already credit card details are being sold. So we are all looking at ransomware, they're holding up your files. I don't think that's where the concentration
You're right,
is.
actually.
They might not be there.
Maybe a decoy.
Yeah, this is just a decoy for us to be scrambling for the top, fixing the fix on top. Yet, all the information that they've gathered, that's where the money is. Because I don't think that they'll make much out of the 300. How many people even paid? Even governments came out to say that if you pay this money, you are actually encouraging crime. Do not pay. Rather suffer the consequences. So, I don't think that's where the money is. The money is on the data that they collected.
Yeah,
and
but
the
when it
details.
happened in
Because you can
Australia,
do so much
There's
with
so
data.
much. There's so much.
well, but the
there's so much.
techniques in actually getting the data is far harder than encrypting it. It's
No,
a-
before encrypting it,
No.
they could have
Yeah,
taken copies
no,
of
to
it.
transfer the data from the machine to another machine it's a different
But how
hacking
do
technique.
we know when they actually got into your system? Because the time they decided to encrypt, do you know that they've been there for 6 months,
No,
for
no,
3
that's
months?
the point I'm making. You see, when you want to encrypt a data, you need the code, the software to get to the machine.
Which
The
they
software will encrypt. You see, this is an inward traffic. It gets to your computer, you click on it, the code runs, encrypts the data. That's all.
But that's,
If you
that's
are
more,
to-
that's
it-
more of the effects.
Yes.
We
if-
don't know when they actually got into the system for them to come out and say that, for somebody to then take advantage of an open system and encrypt your data. But there could be people coming in and out, in and out. What we say in information security is that two types of organizations. Ones that know that they've been hacked and ones that don't. So either way, somebody has been hacked.
When you are hacking, you have to cover your back so that you cannot be traced. Okay. For you to go into a network, and that's why I said about phishing, the method underlying ransomware is phishing. So you lure the person to a link or a file that you get them to click on. So if everybody in this room get that message and we decide not to click on something we don't know, you can never have ransomware attack. If you click on things you don't know, you can get a code to run on your computer without your knowledge, and that will encrypt your files. Okay. Most of these companies that were attacked have very good, well-secure firewalls, which is a tool which is used to control access to and from a network. And the firewall's job is to stop traffic in a certain direction. For me to get into your system and actually take data from the system, I need a traffic coming outward from your network that I will use to carry the data out.
But doctor, if somebody is coming into your network, traffic is in both ways. There's always incoming and outgoing.
Always.
But for you to request that web page to be,
You sent a request.
you're sending a request and it comes back.
So once you are in the system, you can disguise yourself.
You're online, you're already exposed.
Yeah.
And two, the firewalls only work against known threats. We cannot close that door unless we know that somebody can enter in that door. So having the firewalls is not proper security. You can never have enough security.
Security cannot be 100%, but we can get you a place that is high enough to be sure. It is not all lost. You see, I don't want to create a problem, a situation for you to think that everything
I'm listening.
is totally
we should
lost.
be sad.
No, it is not all lost. We can create a certain level of security that you can be confident that your systems are secure.
And the only way we are confident is because nobody has come in to say, if I'll take your data unless you pay me. So somebody could be coming in and out, collecting that data.
Know.
You wouldn't know.
Without your knowledge.
Exactly.
You're watching The Lounge. My guests are Audrey Miraku, Dr. Peter Tobin, and Herman Chinrihese. We'll take a quick break. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching The Lounge. We're discussing cybersecurity, cybercrime, hack attacks. Let's take a moment and toast to authentic whiskey. Let's toast to Johnny Walker, the original taste of whiskey. Since 1820, Johnny Walker has remained the world's #1 Scotch whiskey and has won numerous awards for excellence. This because the impeccable formula of distillation has been jealously guarded over the ages, thus its distinctive taste. Johnny Walker comes from an intricate blend of a wide spectrum of carefully selected flavors, giving it that unique taste savored by millions all over the world. So let's toast to the unquestionable taste of whiskey. Johnny Walker, the whiskey the world knows best. Johnny Walker, keep walking. Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons under 18 years and pregnant women. So what would happen, Herman, if somebody got into, you provide software solutions for payroll, particularly payroll,
security,
and
Hejula and stuff.
Hejula, which is for physical security of premises and so on. What would happen if somebody got into, hacked into your system? Say the payroll system. You say
we are careful. It's not online. So we do Africa Buga Buga style. So the sensitive stuff is just not online.
So there is still something to be said for analog, though.
Yes,
Is it?
it's not analog.
It's not quite analog.
It's not analog,
sort of, but not quite.
Yeah, it's semi online. So we are
one foot in, one foot out.
So that we can see if something is going wrong. It doesn't. You don't benefit to the max. You're not using the networks to the max. But sometimes you have to use a Land Rover because you can see potholes.
Right.
I know Rolls Royce is good, but the road we are going on is a Land Rover road. We want to get there in one piece.
Right.
If somebody got into our systems, it could be, for example, this is a hard topic to discuss, you see, because you understand what I mean.
So you've got proprietary
secret
issues,
stuff.
Privacy issues.
But things could start misfiring.
And if you, just to follow up on that, it doesn't have to be the system that he has been online or offline. It could be another computer. The virus spreads. So it could be another computer sitting somewhere else that got attacked. And then it spread to the database that he has, and it got encrypted. So his machine, so long as it's connected to the network, if it's not on the internet, it's still susceptible to every form of attack because it will come to another person, not necessarily its own device that is on the network. It could come from
ways around it. I mean, I just can't talk about it. Let me give you an example. Some of our most sensitive systems have never been online, but they work as if they are online. Sometimes it is as crude as SMS, because you just don't want the network to ever see that computer. So you send all the stuff is working from his brother, and then his brother talks to me by SMS.
Yes.
It's a little slower,
Proxy.
but it can't be hacked.
Okay. All right.
So you shout to me in Tree, I translate to Ever. And this guy knows my voice. Right. He knows I'm the one talking, but I'm the one facing the crowd. So the crowd will never see my big brother who has the knowledge. They will never see him. These are some of the techniques. We can't say everything.
Okay.
It's a difficult subject.
All right. What is, from a national security standpoint, what would you recommend policy-wise? National security, all the dimensions of it. Protecting national data, protecting, sensitive information, protecting government.
I think we should see agencies like Mrs. Teki's organizations,
Data Protection
Commission, as enablers. Each time you see people talking about the organization, they see it as a threat, organization as a threat. But no, they're actually out there to protect us as consumers. Because it could be that I'm with this organization now, I don't want to comply. But somebody has my data as well. If that person is actually hacked and somebody steals my information, and they don't even encrypt the data, so my information will go out there to the underworld and will be used against me, or it even can go back to the old ransom where they actually even kidnap my children. Because like it is right now, we are on Facebook, you're taking pictures of your children, you're advertising that date of birth. And from the date of birth,
Dr. Tobin was saying about how much information
should we put out there
about
we
themselves.
need to be able to categorize our information, classify it. This is personal identifying information. Today we all know that our PIN numbers are derived from our date of birth. So if I know my son is 6 years old today, 3 years ago I already know the first 6 numbers of your PIN. So with that PIN number, what other documents can I process using your PIN? A lot. Your passports, can even open bank accounts. So it's a matter of time. And with hackers, they're very patient. So if I get your the first 6 numbers of your PIN, I can wait for the next 10 years. And if we're not properly trained, I can even do social engineering. Call you up. Oh, I need you to come and fill a form for me. I need you to bring your ID, make a copy of it. You're freely giving out such information. That is very key. So things like that, we need to educate our people. We need from infancy, because our children are already out there, they're online, and you never know what they are doing on those chat rooms. Yeah, there could be people that are actually grooming them, getting their trust, which might in turn hurt them at the end of it all. So
I'll say that our governments must be wary of where they buy software from, which consultants work on the software. If I was Ghana government and I had sensitive information, I'll make sure that generally Ghanaians would work on the data. Ghanaians will provide the software, and those Ghanaians will have to be security cleared.
Sure.
Because you understand, we have to know who's touching our stuff. A couple of years ago, somebody told me that we're trying to chase a software contract at the military. And somebody there said, oh, no, we are getting it from another country. And I thought it was fascinating. That country immediately knows how many weapons we have in what warehouse and so on and so on. And nobody's looking, nobody's even thinking to know that, wait a second. I mean, it's not even, maybe they are not our enemies, but the information is going to some company, not even the government. That company may not care. They might leave it sitting around. Somebody who is in a country that doesn't like us will pick up the information. The day Ghana has an Ivory Coast situation, they'll say, don't mind them. We got 16 AK-47s here, 22 fighter jets here. This one. They know before we even started, we gave it to them voluntarily. So we must be very, very careful who supplies our tools.
And also because they don't do the skill share. They come, they install the systems here, and they go back.
Because they want you to be
dependent on them.
Exactly.
And they always leave a back door for support.
Exactly.
So they come and go in as and when they please.
Yes.
Yeah. The critical part to the last point is whether or not we put in the contracts that we have some vulnerability, external test consultant, somebody separate from the organization that implemented the system. So we have a situation where a company implements the payroll of Ghana. Well, within the contract, is there anyone assigned to test the one who implemented it when he finished? Is there anyone who goes to check the policies, the manuals, the codes to see if there are any backdoors in there? That is something we need to embed in our policies, that we will not allow a software developer to develop without an independent auditor, IT auditor, affirming that what they've done, the security of what they've done is in line with the country's policy.
What do you think of, you have senior officials whose email addresses are still
Yahoo.com,
Hotmail and Yahoo and so on? Is that a potential risk?
To some extent, that is bad. It's not good. It's more of an image issue to me.
Because Yahoo and so on, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's an image thing. And so it means that government data is stored on the Yahoo system, which we have no control. I mean, there's this thing about Yahoo and Google and the rest that we feel that every time we want the data, we can get it. But the fact is that if you wake up tomorrow and Gmail is gone, you can't blame anyone. If you wake up tomorrow,
so it's not just
that's why it's free.
Yes,
that's why it's free. Like,
you can't blame anyone. I mean, it's a free service.
So it's not just an image issue.
No, it's not just an image issue. You have somebody else sitting somewhere in the US or Ireland with your data stored on their system. They've assured you.
Your advice on that, in that regard, is
no. It's that we should have our own systems, our own mail systems that we will use. So the .gov domain is available now, and a lot of government agencies are using it. We should be able to take the system out of a third party, store it in-house, and actually use it. But storing it yourself comes with security challenges as well. You need to then have the right gadgets in place to protect and secure.
Do we have enough experts in this area in our country? What do we need to up the game? What do we need to do?
Because there's a bigger problem, even before the experts. Invariably, in a lot of cases, the cheapest way to hack a system in Ghana is to pay a civil servant to give it to you. It is much easier than hacking.
Yeah,
So the corruption issues, we need to fix them. A few people need to go to jail. You understand? It is far easier to do that.
Okay.
You call him in the night, you bring the disk to your house, you download and he puts it back. The organization won't even know they've been hacked. And we've been doing this for...
Because they've been hacked the old-fashioned way.
Exactly. We've been doing this for over 20 years. I've always warned our clients, they should watch some of their staff. Because all that needs to happen is that they do a data extract on a pen drive, go and give it to their competitor, their marketing plan for next year, and collect their money and keep quiet. Nothing has gone missing. Nothing is missing. You would never know, just that your organization is moving to Kumasi, the competitor is there already. You were thinking of Takrady, they've set up there 2 outfits. You won't know what I mean, whether you're doing bad business or your managerial skills are bad, or you understand? You know, somebody has taken the money and he's still coming to work and telling them, if you need more, just let me know. So these on the ground here, these are the issues we face more so than international hacking.
Yeah, and that's the deadliest.
Yeah.
Because you can't stop that one.
You see? So a few people must go to jail. So people know that you can't do that. IP theft, data theft. This is relevant to you. I'm sitting here right now. I've got my phone. To get my phone, I needed to give some telephone company my details. These are private companies. I don't know what they're doing with the data. I don't know that if I leave Ghana, I can't get a copy of everybody's for $5,000. I don't know that I can't get a copy of everybody's data in Ghana, house address, whatever. I mean, this is not good. I don't know. All I know is that my government told me, go and give them your data. And they are not even Ghanaian.
So data protection.
Yeah.
Data protection.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Herman. Thanks, Audrey. Welcome home. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for listening and for watching. I'm Kwaku Sakyi-Addo. Have a good night.
The Lounge, proudly brought to you by Johnny Walker. Keep walking.